Did he do enough to convince Nigerians? Did he do enough to convince the NFF led by Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau? I'm talking about Finidi George. 2 friendly games. What matters most? Was it the result? Was it the performance? It is left for not just Nigerians to decide, but also the NFF to decide. Is Finidi George worthy successor to Jose Peseiro? That's a question that is on the minds of millions and millions of Nigerians. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. It was an exciting week and weekend of international football. We saw players returning to their countries to put on the national colors and represent their countries on the green grass that is the field. It was a sports-laden weekend and it continued into the week. We have so much to unpack on the show today, from the local scene where we'll talk about Finidi George, the NPFL, the African Games, where Team Nigeria raised and hoisted the flag of their country, Nigeria, proudly. Don't forget, in the world of Formula One, for the first time, Carlos Sainz, the first man to win a race in the Grand Prix that is not Red Bulls. Like I said, it's a loaded show. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back from this break. I'm not alone in the building. Edwin is the name, alongside David. Yeah, welcome back. Sports Pizza, Edwin alongside David in the building. David, you're looking good. What's up?
Yeah,
what's the secret?
There's no secret. It's the grace of God. That's one thing that we cannot run out of, and we always pray for. So, wonderful weekend of sporting action. Though there was no club football, but international football. For the first time in a long while, there was a lot to savor, and then also sports generally. The All African Games came to an end, and then everything. Good weekend. All
right, a good weekend for David. Also good weekend for Edwin. Let's get straight to action. Finidi George. The chances of him being Jose Peseiro's successor, in my opinion, is 50-50. You have other candidates. Yeah. Emmanuel Amunike has thrown his name into the hat. Yeah. There's talks of some sincerity looking in the corner. In fact, I heard that some had a clandestine meeting with the president of the Nigerian Football Federation. But right now, it is all about Finidi George. From the games you saw during the international break, Nigeria versus Ghana, the Jollof Derby, and Nigeria versus Mali. What is your general assessment of Finidi George, the performance of the team, his tactical ability? Yes.
Yeah, so I think Finidi George has shown some level of, competence. The fact that fine, he was assistant to Jose Peseiro, but the fact that as soon as he got the job, he imprinted his own stamp on the team. Fine, he played a back three also, but he went with 5 in the midfield, so it was 5-3-5-2 instead of the 3-4-3 Peseiro. So he mentioned the fact that they used only 2 in midfield, made Super Eagles overrun during the Nations Cup, but if he went with a 3 in midfield, the return of Ndidi was also a big plus for the Super Eagles. And so I think he has shown that there's something there. The results not really a big matter, but the performance, the fact that Super Eagles actually played, attacking football, they were able to string passes together. And, they built a foundation for the team to attack. Cyril Dessers fed off some chances. He will be, in his usual elements in attack, and Ndidi providing the screen, for Onyeka and the other midfielders. And the fact that they also gave debuts to, I think, Benjamin Tanimu, his first international call-up and his first international appearance. So I think he has shown a penchant to actually trust his players and build a team for the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
All right. Let's talk about the tactical side of the game. And I know that with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the last couple of years, there's been talks and criticisms of how the previous managers, I'm talking about Jose Peseiro and his predecessor, Genedro, how they sort of stifled the attacking talent in the Super Eagles. They were less expressive, a lot conservative. But with Finidi George, do you get a feeling that we'll get to, if given the job, we'll get to see the full flow of attacking football that we have been accustomed to in the years gone by? Remember, he was part of the Clement
Generation.
Westerhoff, golden generation
Yeah.
of Super Eagles team. Do you think we'll see a full replication of that? Maybe in the modern way, but we want to see a lot more attacking football from the Super Eagles. Do you think Finidi George will give us that?
Yeah, so I expect him to deliver that. The fact that his footballing coaching foundation was in Spain, Real Betis youth system related. So I think there's a tendency for him to produce that. He doesn't have too much to lose. Fine, there may be a bit of pressure, the fact that he wants to, retain the job, but auditions have a way of allowing you to, bring out your best. So I think all the reins have to be let loose and then use the players he has to bring out the very best of the players that we have available. So I think there's a tendency for him to, produce, and we expect to see that. That's what I expect.
If you are the NFF president, will you offer Finidi George the job on a full-time basis?
So I really would. I think I would, because all the other options are tentative. There's the talk of Emmanuel Amunike. That talk refuses to go away. But I don't think it's more of a bird in hand. What's more than two in the bush? So I think Finidi is what we have now, and I think he has shown enough. And I think there's enough, goodwill. But I think Finidi George has shown over the two games. Okay, there's something for us to work with, and he's showing that yes, if he's giving the job on a full-time basis, he will deliver something for us.
Finally, if Finidi George gets the job, do you see it as a win for the local players, knowing fully well that of course he has a job with a Nyimba Football Club?
Yes, so it depends on if he's going to bow to pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Super Eagles job, and managers in the past have shown that. But I think if he wants to be his own man, it will be good for the league in the long run, because I think he will have a lot of opportunity, a lot of room for the league players to have opportunities in Super Eagles.
And this takes us to the NPFL. We saw interesting games over the weekend. For me, the biggest result was Aqua United picking up all 3 points away from home against Plateau United. I didn't see that coming.
I really did not. No, I did not. So I think results like this are why I gave Aqua United a chance of escaping the relegation zone. The quality is there for us to say they have good players and then they have a good manager. But the fact that the results have not been come, but there's a tendency for those results. So I think they've shown it going to Plateau United, a team that is also in the mix for top of the table. So I think they performed well, got a good result, and I think they can build on from here. It's looking that way.
Remo Stars had to fight right to the end. They defeated Benin Insurance 2-0. Lobby Stars were held at home by Bayelsa United, and it throws open wide the race for the NPFL title at the end of the season. Enugu Rangers are currently top of the standing. Lobby United dropped down to second, while Remo Stars have moved up to third with a game in hand.
So I think the most exciting thing is the fact that Rangers have been doing their business underground. Now, all of a sudden, they are on top of the table. Nobody really saw them. But the fact that they are now on a 9-game unbeaten run in the league is a testament to the work that Fidelis Iluchukwu, one of the managers that I really respect in the Nigerian Premier Football League. So I think there's going to be a big drama till the end of the season. Remo Stars, they are still holding on to faint hopes because of that game in hand that they have. They are 45 points. They win, they go at least second. So I think there's a lot of drama. It's very difficult to call at this point in the season, but it's good for the Nigerian football.
All right, good for Nigerian Football League. Kano Pillars defeated Sporting Lagos by a lone goal. A look at the bottom of the table, Aqua United, that win takes them out of the relegation zone, albeit goals difference. Bottom for Bayelsa United, Niger Tornadoes, Gombe, and Heartland, who at this point,
dead and buried.
Yes, will be dropping down to the NNL. Alongside Gombe United, I think both sides will drop down to the NNL. Before we leave the home scene, the African Games Team Nigeria really made us proud. A couple of months is going to be the 2024 Olympics in Paris. While we are celebrating and hailing the achievements of these athletes, it brings to light again the lack of investment in these athletes. We hail them when they do well. We neglect them before the tournaments. The stories ahead of these athletes going to Ghana are things that shouldn't be heard in 2024. From lack of money to lack of
even preparation before the competition.
I'm lost for words, David. I'm lost for words.
It's sad that in 2024 we still go back to the same thing. A new administration, a new sports minister, but it's still the same old drama of, I don't know why we are more of a tournament country than a developmental country. Fine, there's a lot of positives to take, but the fact that we didn't get even half of the gold medals Egypt had 102 gold medals, we have 47. And that's something to tell you. Fine. And also the fact, I don't want to be a party pooper, I don't want to rain on our parade, but the fact that, we still have to rely on some of our established names at the African Games, which is supposed to be a developmental tournament. We still have to rely on the likes of Toby Amuson and Ese Brume to deliver medals for us when we're supposed to be developing the next crop of talent. So I think we still have a long way to go. Positives to take, but there are still a lot of negatives.
All right, like you said, the whole war horses in Toby Amuson and the Ese Brumes made us proud. The next generation coming through. Fingers crossed on the Paris Olympics. I think we're going to make the numbers there.
Exactly. There's no much to show that we're going to.
The likes of Ese Brume or Toby Amuson will just try and make it to the podium. But all in all, it was a good run out for Team Nigeria at the African Games. And we hope that this should be a springboard. This should be the unveiling of a new course for our sports in Nigeria. All right, we need to go on a break. When we come back, there's more on the show. Sports Pizza with Edwin and David. All right, welcome back. It's still Sports Pizza. The second half of the show is about to begin, and we're starting with Formula One. David, the Australian Grand Prix, it was Ferrari 1-2.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc. What a race it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the fact that the biggest credit must go to Carlos Sainz. 2 weeks ago, he was on the hospital bed. He was having his surgery for his appendicitis, and the fact that even on the Friday before the race, he was still a doubt. They were debating if he was going to participate, but he got on the track and did what he loves to do best. And the fact that Max Verstappen and then Red Bull conspired to have a bad Australian Grand Prix. I think this is the second Australian Grand Prix in a row where Max Verstappen has retired from the race. So I think something is happening in Melbourne, and maybe the weather doesn't work with him. But I think Ferrari capitalized on 1-2. They took advantage of the lapses that Red Bull gave. For those who want a good a challenge this season, probably this will be a pointer to what the season, but I don't think so. I think Red Bull will bounce back from this. A bad race in Australia, but they are getting geared for the next race. Yeah,
so for Carlos Sainz, he stopped Max Verstappen from equaling the record he set last season. Yeah. That's 10 consecutive wins in Formula One. Interesting to know that last year, Carlos Sainz was the only driver to win on the circuit that wasn't from Red Bull. Don't forget that the last driver to win that wasn't Carlos Sainz or Red Bull was the 2022, was the Brazilian Grand Prix, where George Russell went on to win that particular race. And it tells you, or shows you, the dominance that Red Bull have had in Formula One in the last couple of seasons. For Max Verstappen, he's going to lick his wounds, and like David said, he's going to bounce back. He had a brake failure, and that was why he couldn't complete the race. However, during testing and qualifiers, it was clear that Ferrari were going to push the Red Bull. And for Sergio Perez, he didn't do himself any good.
No, he did not.
No, Max Verstappen couldn't capitalize on it. Finished 7th on the grid. The questions definitely will be raised concerning the Mexicans. Let's leave Formula One and head back to football. We saw some interesting international games. For me, the biggest was England versus Brazil. Also saw France versus Germany. But for England, at Wembley, lost for the first time in 21 games. Hendrick, the Brazilian, the young prodigy, became the youngest player to score at Wembley. It was a Brazilian side that were in turmoil coming into this game, and an English side that had their sights on winning their first trophy. That's the Euros coming up. But once again, the failings of England came to the fore, defensively and also in attack.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who think Gareth Southgate is probably going to get a club job, see, this is the failures of international managers. We are not able to judge them, enough tactically. And Gareth Southgate has shown that. Fine, he's a good man manager. He has shown that over the time his time with the English national team. But tactically, he has shown ineptitude a lot of times. He has a core of very talented footballers that he can bring the best out of. But on the biggest of stages, when it matters the most, he keeps failing. He doesn't get his balance of the midfield, in attack, right? So I think we see how they're going to go Euro 2024, but I'm not having high expectations for them.
All right, so still with England, Phil Foden. What did you make of his performances? I thought that he failed to take advantage of the chances he had, and when Euros come, he's definitely going to be part of the team. But
he's not going to have a starring role.
He's not going to be starting.
Yeah, so I think for those who are on the divide of the Foden versus Saka, this is why I think Saka is ahead of Foden a bit, and maybe on the international stage. Saka seems to take his opportunities when he's called up for England, and I think the fact he won back-to-back, England Player of the Year shows that on the national stage he delivers. So Foden, the fact that Foden doesn't have a defined role, I think Southgate hasn't known how to place him either in the midfield or maybe in attack, maybe on the left wing or on the right wing. He still doesn't have a place. Could it be Foden's fault? Could it be manager's fault? We really don't know. But I think as a player, you should be doing enough to justify your selection, and I think he has not done enough. Yeah,
it was a good win for Brazil. Hendrick, like I said, on the score sheet, and they should take solace from the fact that despite not being at full strength, they got a win against a good but somewhat depleted England team. And they should bounce back for their FIFA World Cup qualifiers, where they are seriously stuttering. France lost to Germany. We saw the return of Toni Kroos, absolute performance. Florian Wirtz, Kai Havertz, Jamal Musiala. Suddenly, there seems to be a lot of optimism going into the Euros with Germany. But for France, it was a chastening reminder that if you don't turn up, you get beat.
Yeah, so I think that was Kylian Mbappe. One of his worst performances. Coming out the fact that in the weekend where Thierry Henry said, Mbappe has surpassed his achievements, in football. So I think Mbappe, a clear reminder that, fine, he's had a good, ride from the 2018 World Cup. His career went up, and then there's still, a level that he still needs to get to on the national stage. So I think France have been brought back down to earth. Germany, under the Nagelsmann revolution, Nagelsmann has shown that he has a lot to prove with the German national team.
All right, in CONCACAF, the Nations League, the United States defeated longtime rivals Mexico by 2-0, and it's a 7th consecutive win for the United States against Mexico, and it is their longest unbeaten run against their arch rivals, talking about Mexico. All right, let's leave international football. David, club football returns this weekend, and the biggest of them all is at the Etihad. Manchester City, defending champions, versus Arsenal, who are looking to dethrone Pep Guardiola's men. It's going to be first. Let's go this route, David. Do you think it is a title decider?
I really do think so. I think it's a title decider.
Remember, Liverpool is in the mix. They are second on the table, by virtue of goal difference.
Yeah, but I still think so. I think for Arsenal, it's more of a title decider for Arsenal. It's a true test of how far they've come. Last season, they were dismantled by Man City over both legs, and that was part of probably the 6 points that threw their title chase out of the water completely. If you are losing to your title, your direct rivals on both legs. So I think this season they won the first leg at the Emirates, which was a good result. Now the Etihad, the stadium they've not won in a long time. I think Arteta and his boys have a lot to prove, and I think a good result in that game would solidify their ambitions and actually show that they've arrived at the top table in the Premier League, and their challenge is not just a flash in the pan. And I think for them it's a title. For City, they will feel, well, we have what it takes. We can still bounce back, but I think it's going to be a good game to see, and it's going to go a long way to determine who's going to win the league.
If you're Mikel Arteta, you saw Liverpool versus Manchester City. You saw how Liverpool overran City in the second half, to the point where Pep Guardiola had to take out Kevin De Bruyne and brought in Kovacic for control and stability. Going to the Etihad, how will you approach this game? By spotting the weaknesses of Manchester City, also highlighting the strengths and how you can negate that.
Yeah, so I think the positive for Arteta this season is that this time last season when they were going to Etihad, they were really depleted. I think Saliba was injured. They had to start Rob Holding in that game. So I think it's handicapped team, but this time Arsenal are going with almost a full complement of. But the only dilemma he might have is, in midfield. Is he going to go with Thomas Partey or is he going to go with Jorginho? Because they offer different profiles. When you have Partey in the team, it's more of solidity in midfield and then trying to stifle City. But when you have Jorginho, it means you are trying to control the game against City. So that's where the dilemma is going to be. But I think City have shown they have shown vulnerabilities this season like never before. So I think Arteta is looking at something he can capitalize on. It's now left to him to take initiative and actually take the game to City at the Etihad, not minding the fact that it's Manchester City. So I think that's where the dilemma is going to be. But I think he can go for it. He really can. He has to go for it if he wants to show that this season they are going for the title.
All right, the eyes of the world will be at the Etihad. It is master versus former apprentice. Pep Guardiola versus Mikel Arteta. Manchester City versus Arsenal. It is third versus first. That's how we wrap up today's show. I'm sure you had fun with us. Sports Pizza. We'll be back same time next week, but leave you with our video for the week. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. Do follow us on our social media platform at Sports Pizza. David, it's great having you once again.
Pleasure as always. Have a great week, guys. Pleasure to be here.
All right.